What's the next big thing for landlords in 2021? Well, did you know there are 16 working days left until the electrical regulations come into force for all tenancies? So it came in June of last year, and all new tenancies had to be compliant thereafter. So any new tenant that moved in after the 1st of June was required to move into a property that had a satisfactory electrical installation condition report. Now, when that bill came in, it also encompassed all existing tenancies had to be up to date with a satisfactory EICR, electrical installation condition report, by the 31st of March. So we're now 16 working days away from the 31st of March. So are you ready? Are you prepared? Has your letting agent even spoken to you about this? We've been working since they announced these regulations were going to come into force. So long before the 1st of June, we've been working on a plan to get all of our properties ready. And we've still been struggling because there's been so much requirement for electricians that the capacity hasn't been there. And we have at least 10 different electricians on our books at the moment working their little socks off to try and get everything ready by that date. So, do you know about it? Do you have any questions? Do you know what the process is? If your property comes back satisfactory, then that is fine. You can send out those documents to the tenant, and we've been doing it around the renewal process because that makes keeping track of what's been done and what hasn't been done much easier. So when a tenant renews, if there's no satisfactory electrical report, we've been getting that done. And if it needs work, then we get the remedial works done. And then we resubmit to the tenant both the unsatisfactory and the satisfactory report, confirming that these works have been done and their property's now good to go for the next 5 years. Although you have to be careful because there are some installations where the electrician is recommending that they're checked every 2 or 3 years. So just be careful when you get that certificate back to make sure you check that the date on there is correct and that you know when that next check is due. Don't just assume it's 5 years because we set in our system the correct date, so we know when we need to check that again. And you get different grades of categories. So you get a C1, a C2 and a C3. Now C1s and C2s have to be done to be compliant and to get a satisfactory report. But C3s, you don't have to do now if you don't want to. You just need to make sure they're done by the next time an electrical test is due to be done. So maybe what you want to think about building into your process is, if you know that the test needs to be done in 5 years, schedule an electrician to go in and do those works, highlight anything else that might need to be done, and then get a satisfactory certificate that will hopefully be valid for 5 years thereafter. That would be the process that we're recommending to anyone who doesn't want to do those C3 remedials right away, or we schedule them in at certain dates in the future when they know they've got funds available to pay for that. So just remember, if you're moving in a new tenant and you've had an unsatisfactory and then a satisfactory report, they only need to see that satisfactory report. But if you're renewing to a tenant or you're getting it done mid-term, you need to submit both the unsatisfactory and the satisfactory report, or at least proof that those remedials have been completed. And you also need to submit those reports to the local authority as well. So if you've got any questions about electrical testing, please feel free to give me a call, 0208 903 3909, and I'll be more than happy to help. Or you can speak to anyone in our property management team. They're also fully aware of all the issues. So please, 16 days left. Let's get cracking. Take care. Bye-bye.